took so long you had to change clothes. So we let this run for a while. Obviously Anthropic was down, Claude was down yesterday, came back today, no problem. So we're going to kick that off again. Basically, rather than starting and recording and wasting our time watching it, I went ahead and prompted them both to finish up.
Okay.
All right. So again, this workflow is a little different than obviously we do normally, but also different than probably a lot of people do with Figma, because Figma, you can export code into a site and go from there. And that would have been fine for actually what we're demoing, since we're demoing very static websites. I mean, statically looking websites, right?
Mm-hmm.
It could have generated a full site, static website. So it could have done what we've done now pretty quickly. But what we're trying to do is kind of mimic the flow of this would go into WordPress. So these agents knowing what they created is kind of actually beneficial to them going to that next step. And kind of the steps of like componentizing everything. That being said, so we now have two sites rendering on, and they're both accessible on my one laptop. So I can look at refresh, exit.
Oh.
It added some images. So this one, 8420 port, that one is Claude. So Claude Cowork did this one. Pretty close, I would say. Definitely a good first version. This is Scout via OpenAI Codex. I mean, generally fairly good.
It's weird that the whole navigation is different.
Yeah, the two navigations are very different. I think this one is closer. Neither one of them are good. Good is like, to me, is like getting to under 5% misses. These are like halfway there. Would require a few prompting. That just showed everything. So what we could do now is have, because I think they're both done. I could tell them both to check each other, but I'm going to go and have Claude send, I'm thinking through this. I'm going to have Claude send Scout its URL and port and ask for Scouts so they can check each other's. So go ahead and send Scout via Slack your site via the IP and port, and go ahead and request Scouts so that you can review each other's work. I'll see what they figure out. Again, we don't really do it this way, so this is more of a see if it actually works. This is the workflow. These are the types of workflows that I prefer. Like some people talk about, if you just over-engineer the prompt. It's like, I don't want to I want them to think through it and then correct their work, right? Like I want to be able to give them prompts like this, and then they either ask questions, kind of like a real person. Like I want them to ask me for information or get it wrong and fail fast.
Yeah. Fair.
All right. So it posted to Slack. That is the one thing. Scout went ahead and already did its own backstop of its own work. Because it knows to do that.
Yeah.
Versus Claude, which again, this project had no information on how to do anything. So you didn't know to test its own work. Which I normally don't have Claude test its own work. I usually have the other agent, Scout, test its own work. It is pulling up. All right, so you can kind of see it's doing. I don't know how it's going to test because I don't have Backstop installed on my laptop. So very curious how it's going to decide to test this programmatically. Looks like it's just manually looking at the site, which this could be a 2-hour session if that's the case. We'll see, because it doesn't. Yeah, because its window, its viewport is like it's my viewport, so it's kind of small. It can't look at the whole page all at once very
it's
easily.
Funny that
so I can see it scrolling.
If it gets longer, you're probably going to go grab your beer and just start drinking.
I might. I have whiskey right over. I could do it in my coffee cup, I guess. I don't have a cup out here.
Finish your coffee, start your happy hour.
Maybe. This is more of I'm very curious what happens when this does, 'cause again, it's not what I would normally do. It's almost like pinning two developers up against each other and then making them check each other's work on the same. So they each know what to look for broken wise, and then they're going to complain about each other.
Well,
Very interesting results, or boring. I mean, you never know. Just kind of reading through, it says that it's said that it's doing, so Scout is doing the Backstop report now of Claude's work. So that's good. Let's see if Claude has said anything. All right, short version. Scout beat us on the cross-pattern hero texture, the one asset my sandbox couldn't recover, and shipped polished real-world content, but drifted from the Figma in ways ours didn't. That's funny. Pretty typical. You would think that these would be very programmatic and like get it perfect when they have something like a reference, and they just don't. Like when they still go with the, whether it's hallucinating or just guesses, I'm not really sure, but anytime it has a problem pulling something, it makes a guess. And I feel like that's either by design, I don't know, like the way they're built well enough, or it's just where we are today, where they have to they just want to keep going. They want to finish the task, so they just keep moving forward and try to piece things together. I think it's probably more the latter. I think we'll have to wait and have them both send each other kind of their reviews.
Okay.
And then we'll see what both of them finish up with. I think that'll be a good stopping point, because you could do this, because I could send them off on these loops for hours and let them completely finish, and they would progressively get better each time. But I wouldn't anticipate one loop actually finishing perfectly.
Oh, so does it take a while to generate the report?
It does, because it has to crawl
I
and evaluate. I don't know how many pages. I guess 14 or so pages they each built. Looks like they've both finished their reports as of right now. What would take a long time is now, if they're going to both send each other the results and recommended fixes, then they have to make those fixes. So that could take a little while. So I think we'll just sit that out, let it do that,
Right.
and then see that result, and then be done with the demo. I will note here, since it's happening again, so it does go back, and especially having two agents going into the same design, there's a potential for hitting the API limits.
Wait, which API limit? Figma's or?
On Figma. So again, I'm using two different LLMs. Obviously, they're independent of their own quotas. So that's not and we have good ones. So I'm not going to burn through those in a few hours. But they're both hitting Figma, and they're both hitting it at higher rates, because this is kind of the initial phase of pulling it out. And the fact that it's having to go through and pull it again, it's possible that if you iterated too quickly, again, doubling everything up, you'd hit some Figma limits. What I've found is when that happens, both agents actually switch to the browser. So they're hitting with MCP, they're hitting with API requests. They actually switch to the browser mode with dev mode enabled, and look at Figma kind of as a real user, and then pull pieces out, which is slower for both of them, but you're no longer using the API limits for Figma. So it's got its own workarounds. It's kind of amazing. The longer you work with these agents and LLMs, all the stories of the security things of them getting out of their thing and like doing nefarious things. It's like, I see it on small scales all the time. Like I see it trying to figure out how to get things done, basically. Like some of these projects where you work with them long enough, I'll start to see the typical like junior developer. I think I've mentioned this before, of like, it'll do like .back2, .back3 files, because it can't delete files in some of the sandboxes. So instead of delete, it just renames and then creates a new one. It's like, well, that was a secure, like someone put that in place so that you couldn't do the thing you're trying to do, but it doesn't care. It just keeps trying to get the task done. Yeah, would be interesting if I really cared to get into the detail. You could go and see what they told each other to do versus what they're going to do.
Yeah.
Because I guarantee both of them are going to both miss things and do extra things.
Yep. Is that hallucination or is it more assuming?
I think it's, I don't know. I think it's like, it's not totally hallucination because it's not like it's inventing things.
Right.
So it's still trying to figure out how to solve a problem. It's just finding new problems that it wasn't told was a problem originally.
Right.
Now,
so like usually I get the terms where it's like hallucination doesn't feel like, because a lot of people encapsulate everything.
That's when it makes things up.
Right. But it's not hallucination per se. It's actually assuming prematurely without confirming it. So it's doing a different thing.
Right. Yeah, it is. It definitely is. Whether people, I think a lot of people use it for the same, and I probably do too. But the thing that it assumes a lot of times is that it doesn't have access to, or it can't, like the thing doesn't exist.
Right.
Where I've realized sometimes I think this is like my assumption as of today, that a lot of times it's because either they got blocked in a weird way, or this is the internet and HTTP requests fail. It's not built to handle failures very well sometimes. So like a browser will retry a couple of times on a failure to make sure it's a fail, to make sure it actually failed or it reads the response well. I think it just like, I don't have access to it, so I'm going to go over here and I'm going to find it over here. Oh, I can't find it there. I'm going to find it over. Like, it just goes so fast versus, no, you should have just waited for the thing to finish.
Yeah. Well, that's one part of it. Another thing I noticed is that it will recommend me something. And based on the recommendation it gave me, it assumes that I confirmed that recommendation and I accepted the recommendation and just work off of that. And a couple hours later, I'm like, what are you talking about? When did I ever say that? I was like, oh, you're right. You're absolutely right. You never did. I recommended that. It was like, but sometimes you have to articulate and pick out what's really underneath that assumption they base their decisions on.
This one's done. So it didn't look much different to me.
Yeah, it's about the same.
Still basically looks broken. This one said it wasn't, and that didn't change either.
What changed? Did it change or did it just run the report?
Basically, I'm going to be telling the same thing to both of them.
I mean, navigation's different, but the hero is pretty similar.
What I found, again, this is after doing quite a few projects with these, and this kind of proves the point, like having AI be the only thing in the mix and having it even with two different LLMs and having two individual methodologies, they're not giving each other the true, like, I'm a human and I can see what's wrong feedback. Because I've let it do itself like this multiple times for hours sometimes, and it gets stuck and it really can't, like, it doesn't progress. Like, you can look back hours later and it still kind of looks like this, and it made a bunch of changes, but
not the meaningful changes.
Yeah, versus me going through and flagging, all right, this, like, the logo isn't the right logo, this isn't that, like, flagging a few things like that, and then it immediately fixes it, and now we're like to that next level. It still requires, like, it's faster than a person, but it still requires the person to guide it along the way. In both these LLMs kind of are the same. I think, like, the visuals that I'm seeing right now, again, they both look pretty good for a first pass. I think Claude typically pulls Figma better and does the first and multiple iterations better. Like, it is closer to what Figma, and you're not seeing a lot of brokenness either. Like, it's not perfect, but it's closer. It's not, and none of it's broken, I think. Like as I scan through here versus Codex, like, that's broken.
Yeah.
These are weird sizes.
Yeah, look at that featured.
I think the alignment's off there. This is not correct at all. Like, it's just a bunch of different things. Like, this footer doesn't look anything like this. Is much closer, but neither one of them are right.
So that sort of proves the point of what we were talking about last time, that Claude is much more intelligent than other ones.
Right.
That it's why a lot of people use it.
Yeah.
And,
Yeah. I'm using Fable 5, but that's really it's most likely creating I saw it creating subagents. It doesn't tell me like what's doing what work.
Mm-hmm.
And I guess after it's done, like if you're watching it, you can see that it's spawning off subagents. Pretty sure, and I got Opus 5. I'm sure Opus 5 did most of the work.
Oh,
so even Opus 5 versus Codex 5.6.
Sorry, I gotta take care of that.
Yeah, so what we were saying is Anthropic, whether it's Opus or Fable, still way far advanced for front-end development for sure.
Yeah.
Not sure about all software development. I'm assuming it has the higher intelligence level for doing other software development also. So Codex has been really good at code reviews and running. This is mainly because it's OpenClaw, so it has access to a real machine and actually run things and build things. So it can build a lot of dev tools for itself. That is more cumbersome using Claude Code or Cowork. I found because it's just you have to really oversee it and you basically have to build it yourself, which is fine. Like I know how to do those things, but that's the whole point of these is that it abstracts to a point where I'm just giving it can create its own tools.
Yeah. And also the senior developer or human interaction, human interference is still required for any of these projects.
Yeah.
It's still true, even for the Anthropic models, even though they're very close to, or they're much better than the other ones, they still make a lot of mistakes. And it's a lot faster for the human to say, hey, this is wrong versus them trying to figure out what's wrong.
Yeah. And I just don't understand that, honestly. Like the visual difference.
Yeah.
So
Shouldn't
it's like
they be better?
You should be able to compare, especially we're looking at Backstop earlier, where we saw the visual differences. It was pink for us, so we can see it, but there's actual it's generating a report also that any code can read, especially an AI agent. So it being able to move pixels around should be almost instant for it.
But I'm also wondering, maybe they don't know. Like I don't know if there's a way to indicate weighted importance, like priority, because like some of the things that are very obvious are obviously header, the navigation, and footer. Those kind of things are so important, and then we know that because you've done it so much. And if those are fixed, a lot of things feels more in place. Whereas this might think that everything is pretty much the equal priority, so they're just fixing the little things that you don't even need to care about that much. So who knows? Maybe it's the matter of giving the weighted priority list to check, and maybe it will give a better result.
Maybe. I think it's part that, but I also do think that it doesn't know, even when it's trying to fix a thing. Let's say it's a layout issue where the text is, left aligned versus right aligned. I think it doesn't know, for some reason, when it's comparing visually, it doesn't always know that, oh, I need to make it right aligned. It actually needs to have someone tell it. Actually, I know this is the case because I've had it do that a number of times with this is front-end development, where I will have to tell it the solution, and then it instantly fixes it and then fixes the rest of the site. But it can't do that, and it just can't figure out why.
So it really is a junior developer. It's like that with junior
in a lot of ways.
Yeah.
Like it knows so many things and it knows so many languages, yet very basic fixes around layout, especially. It just doesn't know how to address that. It can build it a lot of times, but when there's the issue, when there's a brokenness on whether it's a browser or I had an issue with it with wow, that's dating me, with Windows and Edge, and there was clearly an issue, like a font weight issue. And I had to tell it basically, well, it's not loading the fonts, and there's definitely a spacing issue. And once I described it enough, then I was able to figure it out. But it had spent days kind of doing its own thing, trying to figure that out. It never did.
Well, did it generate the report?
So, I mean, that's the thing. Like this is, I saw it earlier today and it's still 0 passes. So like 70% mismatch, 65, 50, like.
So you said 1%, right?
I want it down to 1%.
Okay.
Which is basically
also perfect.
Fonts not rendering exactly the same, which is fine it's going to happen. Did it tell me whose is this? Oh, this is Scout. There's the Figma Claude. Well, they're both failing. Homepage is close though. 2.7% mismatch for Claude's.
Really? Let's see it.
Didn't seem like it. We looked at it.
Yeah. Did it
versus
change?
50% for Scout. So we can look at the diff.
Oh boy.
Yeah. See, I mean, it's
not bad.
That's not bad. Like I knew the logo's wrong. Very curious why, but these are just barely off.
Yeah,
it's also missing. It looks
good.
like it's missing a nav item, but these are barely off. This is almost perfect. No, it didn't scroll. It only took the first viewpoint port for some reason. I mean, the only thing that I wouldn't have it keep doing would probably be this. This is probably really close to 1%, the hero. This is almost, but I still, like, that's obviously there's an alignment issue there. That's an alignment issue. Actually, the alert is almost perfect too. But all that should be, like, that's all of these things are more than 1% off. But yeah, again, like this is, you can tell, like there's definitely a nav difference. Why? Like,
do you also have that for the other site?
Yeah. So if I look at the homepage diff, and this is Scout.
Wow. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, it's not even, I mean, night and day.
Yeah. So it kind of shows that something that's very close versus something that's way off.
Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, it's hard too, because like, think about if you're getting it from a person, right? And it's this far off. Like, I can't even give you the feedback. Like,
right.
Just fix it.
Yeah.
Versus this one, like, oh yeah, logo's wrong, search is off, language is off.
Yeah.
You go through all those, and then it's done in a few, like one more iteration.
So what's the step after this? Like once these are done, you hand it off to UAT, or?
So yeah, because I would do that human kind of, we have a bug tracking tool that we flag all these little random things. It then addresses them. It needs to get close to 1% before it would send it back.
Right.
And then you go to UAT, and that's, on whether it's with the design agency or client, for them to test it out and see if, like, they've seen it in Figma, they've seen static renderings of it, semi-functional. Now they can test the real site.
Cool.
Yeah. I mean, well, there's obviously a step of functionality. Like, this is not a functional site. It has to actually be built. But
right. Yeah. But it's kind of interesting to see, like, what the close looking site versus completely off site looks like.
Got through it without having to go to my whiskey and bourbon.
You need to drink it. Well, so I guess that was interesting. I don't know if there's any takeaway point. It was more like an experience for us too.
Yeah, there's some. So again, this is not the normal use case or workflow. I think the only thing I'm taking from this is that I would never do this, which I knew already because I've tried it.
Right.
Just doubling down on Claude does most of this visual development. The gaps in what Claude can do are my time savings, where I need to get it interacting with Scout better for code reviews and the review of the visuals, so that I don't have to be in the middle as much, for just a remedial tasks of, like, communicating between the two of them, like having them do the loops, like making sure that that's all set up properly. I don't know, and having it have more access to the physical machine would be the next step, but not for this demo.
All right, cool. Well then,